Hello, my name is Mariana, and today this is a reading for Aquarius. So Aquarius, as usual, I'm doing this reading with my own tarot deck, so the cards that you'll see are from this deck. So finally, at last, I am sitting down to record this. Today, it felt like it was just an endless day of stuff just happening one after the other, and I wasn't able to record until now, so it's already nighttime out there. But hopefully, the image is okay, the recording goes flawlessly, perhaps, hopefully. And I feel like this has to do with the message that I'm seeing here, because it feels like, Aquarius, you are still in the turbulent part of a transition. It didn't get to the point where you are arriving in the calmer shores, because the Six of Swords is beginning your reading today, and I feel like this is you, well, perhaps it's a guidance for you to surrender, to go through the harsh parts still, because it's like it's the sign that you are leaving the turbulence, but you still have to go through the turbulent part, right? It's like the transition phase, going from the turbulent side or margin to the other side where things are a little bit more tranquil and relaxed. You still have to undergo the turbulence, right? So I feel like you are just having to go with the flow and accept that the more you surrender, it's like the more, just the picture that I'm receiving in my mind is like, when you are in a boat with no sails, with no rows, with nothing to really steer the way, but you're being taken by the waves, by the current. And right now you are in the rapids, or you are in the it's like the part of the water that it's like there is this turbulence. So you're just being shaken, you're being taken from side to side, from one thing to the next, and it feels like a lot. But the more you surrender, the more you're going to find that there is this phase of transition. So, and as I was saying, phase of transition, it feels like the sensation that I had is that the turbulence, it's actually going to start fading away, right? So the phase of transition, it's actually going to give way to this fading turbulence, because the World card coming next is talking about this trip being a long one. Whatever moment of transition that you're going through right now, it feels like it's not going to be like this fast forward type of transition. It's actually going to, well, it's going to take you like, a very far away place or a chapter or perspective, right? But it's actually going to take longer. So remember the image of the boat, right, at sea, but with nothing to steer really the way or steer the path. So you just have to surrender to the forces of nature, in a sense, or to the forces of the sea. And when I saw the World card, it reminded me of, those very long trips where, people would come from Europe to the Americas by ship. And so, imagine like, back then, like, this seemingly endless trip that would take you to somewhere completely new, completely different, right? It's like to another shore that was like very, very far away. This is the sensation that I'm having with these two cards. So surrender, because it's like the more you do so, the more you're going to realize that this is a phase of transition, that the turbulent part is actually going to fade away. And maybe you can get to enjoy the trip, right? Because it's going to be a long one. And so while you're there, the Four of Cups coming next, this card was talking about finding emotional stability while you are still traveling, while you're still in this transition phase, right? So the travel is the transition phase. So as long as you are, not in control of I was going to say not in control of your destiny, but the Wheel of Fortune is not here, so I don't feel like it's necessarily related to like fate or destiny in that sense, but it's more like in control of your decisions or in control of your path, like your immediate path in a sense. But this emotional security, this emotional stability or emotional maturity is the thing that is going to help ground you even when you are ungrounded, right? Because if we think of this trip, by sea or, in a ship or in a boat, it's like you're not grounded, right? It's like the vehicle itself, the vessel that you're traveling with is unstable, is supposed to be, this movable vessel, this movable vehicle, right? It's not supposed to be planted or to be grounded. Still, there has like the force, right? They bring this sense of feeling stable. So how can you find this emotional stability even when you are in this endless sea, in this seemingly endless trip or this transition phase that feels like you're navigating in turbulent waters? Still, I feel like there's going to come a moment in this trip where you are going to reach this level of surrender and perhaps, groundedness, emotional groundedness, where you won't feel like you're being shaken like you are right now, right? Maybe because this has just started. So it's like find your emotional ground, right? And learn how to navigate these fluctuations, these waves, because it's almost like they are the force of nature, like nature itself moving you. So the more that you are coherent with your own emotions, your own inner waters, it's like the more you're going to sink with the boat itself, right? It's almost like you're going to feel the waves, you're going to feel the currents. And I feel like how you do so, Aquarius, in a very beautiful way with this temperance, because to me, this temperance specifically is the higher version of the Two of Cups, is, having somebody there to share a tear or two, because these drops of water here are talking about a tear or two, right? This is how I'm hearing this this conversation. It can be very emotional, but this is how you ground yourself emotionally, right? Is when you are not holding everything inside of you. It's having somebody there to cry with, somebody there to laugh with, right? It could be like tears of joy, but having somebody, right? This is how you ground yourself for this very long trip or very long transition phase, because I feel like, in a way, from what is coming next, they also have a lot to gain from this exchange with you, right? It feels like you're the one perhaps approaching them first and saying, listen, I could use a little bit of help, or, this shoulder to cry on, because I need to stabilize, right? And it's interesting because this finding stability message is something that has been coming up again and again in the readings, in the recent readings. So for you, it's very clear that this is your guidance. Find this emotional stability by talking to somebody. Maybe this could be, very practically speaking, like a therapist or a friend or, a parent or somebody that you trust. The feeling that I have, to be honest, is that this person is not somebody that you're very familiar with. Maybe it's just, a new acquaintance, or maybe somebody that is undergoing something similar, right? Because it feels like they are in this same phase of transition, this same trip. So they can understand you. It's like they can relate to what you're saying, specifically because I feel like in your perception, Aquarius, you don't realize that they are much in need of the same thing, especially because, to me, this reciprocity, right? It's like there is one cup that is sharing with the other one that is holding space, but then there is like this reversal. So it gets a turn, the turn when this one is full and then the other one is empty, and it, this complementary nature of like, okay, like now you have shared everything that you're feeling and now it's my turn, right? So this exchange. And I feel like this works not just for you, but even if you're not aware of this right now, because I feel like you're just going for it, you're just expressing your emotions with somebody that is there to listen, right? So whatever they're doing, you don't know the reasons behind their decision to be there, just listening to you. But when they speak, when it's their turn, right? It's like now that you have given everything that you could, or you cried everything that you needed. It's like you filled their cup in a sense. Now is their turn to speak everything that they have in mind, and they're showing up as the Page of Swords. So I feel like what they're undergoing, to be honest, is something that is sorry about the noise, but what they're undergoing, it's something that is, a lot more it's like they are struggling as well, right? They feel unprepared, they feel inexperienced, they feel very naive, very childish, or maybe very immature, right? It's like they have a lot of questions in their mind. They have a lot that they don't know about this journey, this trip, this whatever this transition phase is, right? But you're taking them maybe because they are a good listener, and maybe they are presenting as a good listener just because they don't know what to say, right? They're as lost as you, I feel like. But I feel like it's like they could use your advice, they could use your help. So I feel like they are actually listening to you because they are wondering if there is something valuable for them in what you are saying about your experience. So they have, somehow like this attentive ability to listen. It's like what they're picking up from you, it's like they have this curious mind. So it's like they have this open awareness, the open mind to hear you out, right? But why they are doing so is because they are as lost or as confused or as shaken as you. Because the Nine of Swords is what they are going to share with you now. It's like if you are being shaken and feeling like you're losing control over your own path, or it feels like you're trying to, get some sort of grip over your life, it feels like it's out of your control. It feels like you just have to surrender and go with the flow, right? As best as you can, because it's going to be a long trip. It's like the surprise is that there is another person that is, undergoing a similar thing. I feel like if you were to compare, right? Not that there is one that is better or worse, but I would say from their perspective, in contrast to yours, because you have the Six of Swords and they are bringing the Nine of Swords, it's almost like you are in a place where you know how to find this emotional stability. So it's almost like that you're losing control over the things that bring you this groundedness, but you know what you have to do to find your balance again, right? To find your ground again, which is sharing your emotions. They have no clue. It's almost like they have been trying how to handle their mental trips, their mental questions, their, all of these things that are bubbling through their minds. But they realize that they're not alone because you're there. It's almost like they're happy. They're surprised, I want to say, to find you there, right? Or to meet you, or, for just like, maybe they consider themselves not the right person to listen exactly to what you have to say, but somehow you trust them, right? Because I feel like you don't know this part. So it's almost like you are also naively sharing something just because you know that is the way to navigate this turbulent period for you, right? But this person is like they don't know, they don't have a tool, they don't have like they don't have the maturity to know what to do when they are struggling, right? They feel like they are pretty much alone. Just a second. Sorry about that. There was a truck going by. Okay. So, again, they don't know how to cope, right? It feels like they were it's like they were always feeling alone or feeling lonely or feeling like they didn't have this reciprocity, right? They didn't, it's like maybe they didn't even consider themselves as a good listener because they didn't, it's like they never had that experience of being the listener, right? At least not with this degree of emotional expression, right? Not of intimacy, because as I said, I don't feel like you know this person that much, but I feel like you are aware that if you don't share this right now, you're going to go crazy, right? So that is your coping mechanism. You don't know, it's almost like it doesn't really matter to whom you share this with. It doesn't matter, like, you know, the circumstances or the person on the other side, right, of the table or the room, or, you know, what I heard right now, or the Zoom. Maybe it's an online type of call, but this person is like they have never been in this situation, so they don't know exactly what to expect. They have no expectation. It is a surprise because, as I said, it feels like they had always like struggled and dealt with their struggles by themselves on their own. They didn't have, it's like they didn't even have like the idea of sharing their thoughts, their problems, their issues with somebody, because it's almost like this is too new, right? This interaction with you is very new for them. So they are just lost, right? But they're glad, I want to say, to hear you out, because it almost like creates this road, right? To also share what they are going through. Because with the Six of Cups, I feel like they have been longing for it. This is coming through as their longing, right? So now they are in the same page as you in a sense. And it's interesting because it's the page, right? So it's almost like they are completely oblivious, completely unaware of everything that you are aware of. You know that you are out of control, or maybe things are out of control in your life. You are aware of the Six of Swords, right? You are aware of the turbulence. They are unaware that they are struggling, even perhaps. Maybe they think that this is normal. Maybe they think that this is their path because it's their individual path with the Nine of Swords, right? And maybe this is building this mindset very early on that this is how life is, how the world works. And because you're sharing something, showing them that that's not the way that things are supposed to be, they're having this aha moment perhaps, because they're open, right, to learning that response to something that they didn't even know that they wanted. The Six of Cups is coming through as like this very ancient subconscious remembrance of a longing that they didn't know, that they didn't have planted in their conscious mind, right? Maybe because they are still very fresh. It's like maybe this entire emotional experience, this entire transition phase is as new for you as it is for them. But I want to say even more so for them, right? Because at least you know how to cope. They don't. But it awakens in them what you are doing for yourself, right? It's almost like you're not doing this because of the other. You're doing this because of yourself, because you need to emotionally ground yourself. But the way that is serving the purpose for this other is actually activating this old longing, right? So it's almost like what you're doing for them without even realizing, I want to say, Aquarius, is actually providing them not only the sense of wish fulfillment, let's say, but like this forgotten wish fulfillment, but it also brings the idea that finding emotional stability is something that helps to deal with this situation, right? That they didn't know that they could, right? Maybe I feel like it's not even something that they would think of. It's like they would just keep on carrying like on with this life of theirs, right? Thinking that this is regular life, like, you know, a very ordinary life, right? A life of struggle, like building the idea that life is a struggle. But here, because you see here how, you know, your exchange, which remember I said that it's the higher version of the Two of Cups. So you have here presented them with the Four of Cups, which is the foundation of how to cope emotionally when you know that you're struggling. So not only you're saying, okay, so this is how I do to cope with my own struggles, you're pointing to them by this reflection, by this exchange, that first of all, they were struggling. They didn't even know that they were struggling. But at the same time, here is, you know, this very, I want to say like stable, but very movable and very flexible coping mechanism, right? This is their foundation, because the Four of Cups is here, and then the Two of Cups, the both of you are here, and this activates for them, for this Page of Swords, this remembrance of, oh wow, so this is all new. I didn't know that I was struggling. I didn't know that there was a way out of this. I didn't know that by exchanging tears or emotional conversations, or, you know, just having a moment to express and let it all out, it's like, and cry perhaps, right? Or just laugh. It's like, it is something that they desired, that they wanted long ago, right? And I feel like this, it's almost like you'll have time. Now, this is like an intuition of mine. You will have time to just have more tea together. This is what I'm hearing. Or like coffee, or, you know, whatever it is. It's like you're going to have more moments to exchange with one another these tears, right? A tear or two that I said with this card, because it's a long trip. So it's almost like it's like this ancient longing that they didn't remember, that actually it's very useful to have this long trip, because it's like it's the time that is needed for you in exchange with them to kind of like in a very reciprocal way to help each other, right, in different things, especially because at the bottom of the deck is the Eight of Swords. So I feel like, in a sense, for them, because they go from the 9 to the 8 and you go from the 6 to the 8, and it's not that the 8 is like it's more struggle or more headache or more whatever it is. It's just the fact that both of you are now in this together, right? Because the 8s for me are the overlapping of the two 5s. So the two individuals who, you know, you and this Page of Swords, perhaps, who didn't know each other very well at first, it's like the more the conversation and the exchange become emotional and very raw and very vulnerable, it's like the more you're going to feel each other's pains or feel each other's struggles, but in a way that is going to minimize or just like lessen the pain, right? Because now you are together, right? Now you are crying with each other. So it's not, you know, they are not building the idea that they are alone in this, and you're not building the idea that you're, you know, out of control or that things are out of your hand, right? Because you have somebody to cry with and just exchange notes, right? In a very emotional sense. So this is how you navigate through the turbulence of the seas, right? This initial phase of transition to the calmer waters. It's like you talk about the waters, right? The waters inside, maybe the waters outside, right? So that's really, really interesting, Aquarius. So I truly hope that this was helpful in any way possible. Thank you so much for being here. Oh, by the way, I was forgetting that I am going to pull more cards for you, and also I'm going to pull from the astrological runes in the extended reading. So if you want to join me there, I'll be happy to see you. You can find the link down below. If not, I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.